My gut tells me that they were ambushed.
So, I had assumed this whole time for 6 months now that it happened in the middle of the night.
And now we know it was the middle of the day. Absolutely.
Broad daylight.
Broad daylight.
I don't want to get her involved in this. I don't want to ruin her life. Like, it's something like this. I don't want her involved in this. Okay?
At some point, Chris locates what's called a dry bag.
Brian Laundrie's body has been found. Law enforcement had considered Laundrie the only person of interest in the murder of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
You're the one that filed the missing persons report.
Yeah, and I'll totally come forward with that.
That's all it is the truth. So there's nothing to hide in that coroner's report. There's nothing to hide by not having Kelly take a polygraph. And if the truth comes out, and this was a...
How do you deal with it? I had to sneak the other day when I was with Josie. I had to sneak and talk to him. I'm like, I had to sneak and talk to him about his sister.
Makes me think the worst. Like, did you do that to all three of them?
Hello, and hello, chat, and hi, CDT. Thank you for being here.
Hello, and hello, everyone in chat. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I just wanted to acknowledge the mods and thank them for being here tonight, and just everyone else. Mark, I see you. Karen, the analyst, Insanely Confused. Just really appreciate you guys all being here. I just had some notes that I wanted to share with you guys and just kind of get your thoughts on it. And I was lucky enough to have Kelly join me this late and get her thoughts also on some of my notes and just some common denominator, I guess, it's sort of like the thumbnail that's just been kind of reoccurring in the story. And that's the fact that, and everyone knows that Grandma Candy, or Grandis, as everyone has called her thus far, she was one of the last ones to see Summer that day, and she's tried to remain quiet, I feel, as much as she can, but it's just a lot of stuff is just adding up in my mind and kind of pointing towards Grandma really knowing more about everything, in my opinion. So, hi, Muffy. It's good to see you. So, I don't know. I'm just going to show some clips and just play some audios and kind of work through what possibly happened that day. I'm curious, who in chat believes that Grandma knows more? If you believe Grandma knows more, press 1. If you think she was napping and she's just completely oblivious to what had taken place once they got home, press 2.
I'll go ahead and say I do think that she knows more. Like, the level of what I think she knows varies, but I think that she knows more than she has, at the very least, told the public. Because we've only heard from her that one statement that was kind of a write-up way back in June, and then the interview with Ansley Daniel. But yeah, I think she knows more about June 15th.
And we can't forget the fact that, after everything had taken place, she left the state. There was all these excuses and people kind of excused her, like, oh, okay, she's taking care of a friend. Oh, okay, the story was kind of just like a lot of things in this case. Through the grapevine, things kind of change a little bit, like the game of telephone. It was sort of like, oh, she's taking care of a sick family member. And then like there was just other stories, like she always leaves the state and visits a friend. And it was just like all this stuff going around. But I just think that, like you said, it's kind of like she has to have, yeah, exactly, Irish. Grandma has knowledge at the very least, in her opinion. And it's just, I'm feeling like Candace and Grandis and Don, like everyone has been saying, they've decided to join forces because remember, Don even says Grandma Candy didn't really like him for the longest time. Well, now all of a sudden they get along. And to me, that's random and suspicious, especially after the DV incident in October 2020. Why would Grandma suddenly just get along with Don, especially because that report said that Candace and her mother, I think, were like afraid for their safety or something like that. Like I know that the grandma was mentioned in that police report.
Yeah, she definitely was. And yeah, that's what I think it was, that her and her mother were in fear of their safety. And yeah, it mentioned Grandis living in the camper on the property. And I just feel like, because there's been talk that she's afraid of Don because he could kick her off the land. I just feel like it's more than that at this point. Kind of like you said, I think they all have more knowledge of what happened either June 15th or before. Whenever Summer really disappeared, they all have more knowledge, in my opinion. And so therefore, they all have to kind of keep quiet together.
And bury the hatchet of past transgressions between each other because they're relying on each other.
Yeah.
And it's a bond between the three that it just seems like, it's 10 months later and everything's staying the same. And Insanely Confused said the fact that the grandma left out the fact she took a nap that day Summer went missing is key. And she had told friends behind the scenes that she took a nap. So in my mind, I had always thought the nap thing, once she came out to the public again and said it to the news station, WJHL, that she had taken a nap, I started to kind of assume that's the story that she told the police too. So I think that the nap is very convenient as far as, it gives her something that she was doing where she wouldn't be aware of what was going on. And it's just very suspicious.
Exactly.
Is it possible that she took a nap? Yeah, because they were running all over that day, which was kind of weird that they decided to plant flowers, in my opinion, because it was like, but you've been running around all day. Like, don't you just want to just relax?
Yeah. I did. I don't know if you heard this on when Benny was on with Cher last night. I think it was Shannon said that Grandma Candy's schedule was that she would go to bed at like, let's see, I think I wrote it down. I think she said, she would go to bed at like 6 or 7. Yeah. So Grandma Candy in bed by about 6 or 7 p.m., up every day at 3 a.m., and then took a nap every single day. So that makes me wonder if possibly she really did nap and it was the norm for her.
Yeah, that's true.
But then why didn't Candace mention it,
Exactly. That's the thing that's kind of like, if it was nothing, then Candace had ample opportunities to have mentioned it to numerous people. I mean, she doesn't even talk about it to WJHL. It's, I was bandaging her knee. And then it seems like that's the last time she kind of talks about Grandma, besides she said, we looked everywhere type of talk, and it's like, I don't know.
And my mind kind of goes to maybe Candace didn't mention the nap because that puts her more, the sole
responsible
adult.
Yeah.
Adult on the property,
Yeah. And I just, I want to kind of feel around with what you guys are thinking with like this one theory in my mind that I don't even know how to convey this, but it's just like in the clips I'm watching, I'm just getting the feeling that there's like a lot of weight kind of put on Grandis. Like it was her knee that caused the issue that they had to go to the ER for. It was, her prescription they had to pick up. It was her idea that they planted flowers. Like it was just like, and I'll show you guys through these clips. It's just like a lot of things that Candace kind of puts on the shoulders of being like the mother, the Grandma Candy's reason. Like she's the reason that all this kind of happened. Like even at one point, she says to Chris McDonough, whatever mom wants to talk about, we usually end up talking about. And it's just like,
Yes.
it kind of like stands out to me that like she just is always putting like not the blame, but like she kind of puts the weight over on her mother. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's starting to make me feel like, and we'll rewatch like a little clip of Grandma Candy's interview where it seems like even Grandma Candace is kind of allowing to carry the weight of it. Like, I don't know, like I'll play it and I'll kind of get your guys' thoughts and your thoughts, but Candace wants someone to be aware, kind of like people who use deities to make sure they appear truthful. That's why she uses Grandis. So you think that she knows that her mom will have her back, so she's just kind of like, I think I know what you're saying.
That's what I was going to say to that. That's how I kind of took that too. Like, she knows Grandis isn't going to, like, whatever Candace says, Grandis will go with it. And she knows that, I feel.
Yeah. And that's Brenda said, I think Grandis was the excuse for everything. Nothing is ever their fault or her fault or Don's fault. And like, I've been thinking about that too. Like, it seems like there's like a level of like, Candace just will not take the blame for whatever happened, you know? So it's always being shifted and pointed. But then I'm like starting to think like, is it that, or is it like more? Like, is it something happened where Grandma Candy really is sort of like not responsible, but maybe this wouldn't have happened, whatever happened wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for something that the grandma did or something, you know what I mean? Like I get like a vibe that like grandma is like willing to say and do whatever Candace wants because maybe she feels she owes it to Candace for a reason. I don't know. Like, and this is obviously just my opinion and just kind of where my mind is at, like, as far as like the level of what Grandis is maybe involved in. I don't know 100%, and I'm just feeling out what you guys are thinking. But hello, Brooks Richards. I'm glad you got my message. Because there's this part in Grandma Candy's interview where she's talking about Rose, and I'll play that too. And she says, Rose was my baby. And then like it seems like Grandma Candy wants to like throw a message to Candace and say like, because then she switches it and she's like, well, Candace is my baby too, but and it's like, you don't need to tell us that, but it seems like she wanted it out there for Candace to see.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I
like
was just
she
thinking,
almost
why?
seemed like she felt like she had to throw that in there. Like, okay, if Candace watches this, she's gonna be pissed at me if I don't mention her too. Yeah,
Exactly. I knew you'd understand. But let me just start playing some clips. And actually, I have something that might be a good one to kind of open up with. And it was something, if I can find it, it was something I'd seen on, but it was talking about jealousy between the daughters, the sisters, pretty much. Rose, Candace, and I forget the third one's name. But they seemed like the video was pretty much saying, someone who knew Rose was saying that the older sisters were jealous of Rose. Let me see if I can find that.
and remember how when Chris McDonough asked H, what do you think happened? He mentioned Grandis and said she was out of her mind that day or something like that. And it's like, why is he throwing Grandis under the bus too? I don't know. It's just that we don't even know for a fact that Grandis was with them at the swimming hole or with them on each of their stops, which drives me crazy. Like, I want to know, and I understand why we can't, but I want to know. It's all, the timeline is all hearsay.
Exactly. And a lot of this case is hearsay. And, you know, while we're on the subject, I figure it's important for everyone to know, you know, because we are going to talk about Rose Bly a little bit. She is still missing. I know that there's like fake news and rumors going around and quote unquote hearsay used for entertainment purposes, end quote. But I don't think that it, speaking that Rose is still alive and under a different identity is entertainment. Like, I think that's disrespectful. obviously law enforcement would know if that was the case. And I don't know what channels you guys follow, but I just want you guys to be aware that, like, even though we want answers in the Summer Wells case and even Rose's case, just make sure that the information you're following is credible. And like, I know, like, even this video I'm going to play for you right now is supposedly from a friend of Rose Bly. Like, I'm not 100% sure this is actually a friend of Rose Bly, but I feel comfortable enough with like sharing this because it kind of links up with other things that we've kind of heard, like about Candace being jealous of Rose. But I just want to, say, with a lot of hearsay in this case, just be careful. And I'm not going to name any channels or anything like that, but Rose Bly, she's still missing. She has not been found. She has not resumed under another identity. So I just wanted to get that out there because it's important. They have faces that they've shown what she might look like nowadays. And like, they're doing that for a reason. Like, law enforcement, they're not idiots. So keep, your eyes out, or, remember, Rose is still out there. And I almost feel like the fact that they never found more information on Rose, and this is just my opinion, might give Grandma Candy and Candace and maybe even Don like a reason to kind of stick to she was abducted, like, because they might think that no one found Rose, so we might as well just use that script for this script too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
and
it
even
backfired on 'em.
Don, like early on, didn't he say something like, well, they never found any trace of her either?
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
like, why are you throwing either in there? Like, Summer could come home. You don't, and I don't know. But yeah, Don. But yeah, I agree. I just think it is very, sad to see that stuff going on. And it doesn't help Summer or Rose. It's just sad and frustrating, in my opinion.
Agree. So let me just play this, start the tone with this video, and then I'll start playing other things. And again, this is like just random things that I've just been thinking about that kind of connect Grandma Candace to being sort of like the fall person or carrying some weight for Candace for whatever reason.
Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. And if true crime is your jam and like you in my content, please hit that like. According to Candace Bly's former friend, Allie Harris, she once heard Candace lash out at her mother, Candy Har, or Grandis as we like to call her, because she, Grandis, was sad and crying over the anniversary of Candace's youngest sister, Rosemary's disappearance. Allie went so far as to say that Candace called Rose the B word, the one that rhymes with ditch, but starts with, well, a B. And it's my understanding that Jose Roman said he was also there when Candace said those things about Rose. It is believed that Candace was jealous of her mother's affections for Rose. And actually, that shouldn't even be past tense. It should be Candace is jealous of her mother's affections for Rose.
And I just wanted to pause it real quick and kind of elaborate a little is, Cher, in this time that she spent talking to the Wells, she even has said things about Candace being a super, super jealous person. So while Allie has reason to say things maybe that might not be true because she doesn't like her or whatever, I believe that Allie and Jose did witness some sort of rift between Candace and the mother, like about Rose. But again, this is all just hearsay, but I just found it interesting. And hello, Pink Dahlia.
It turns out that jealousy among Grandis's three daughters, Candace, Jeannie, and Rose, was not uncommon. Rose's best friend shared some additional information with me about what she knew regarding Rose's mother, Grandis, Candy Har, and Rose's relationships with her two sisters, Candace and Jeannie. Remember, Grandis abandoned her husband, Jim Bly, and their 3 daughters around the time the girls were in middle school and high school. Apparently, Grandis showed back up in her daughters' lives around the time Rose was a senior in high school. Here's what Rose's friend said about Grandis and about how Rose felt about her mother at the time. But yeah, her mom is not a good mom. I mean, she did come back after a while. I think it was like our senior year of high school. I remember Rose saying that her mother reached out and wanted to see her, and she, Rose, was actually pretty happy about it. End quote. So it sounds like Rose desperately wanted her mother back in her life, and she wasn't holding any grudges against Grandis for leaving in the first place. But Rose's friend also said this: "For me, I was worried that Rose was just going to get let down again, because she was sad about it. I mean, who wouldn't be? But her dad and the love that he showed her to make up for her mom being gone was amazing. It made her sister very jealous." End quote. Now, when I read that last sentence, the one that says it made her sister very jealous, I thought that the best friend was referring to Candace. But guess what? When I asked the friend to clarify who was jealous of whom, she wrote this: "Jeannie was very jealous of Rose." End quote. According to Rose's friend, back when Rose was in high school, her sister Jeannie was jealous over the love their father, Jim Bly, was giving to Rose.
I'm just going to pause it real quick. I never hear anything about Candace's father. So this is like new to me that like, I mean, I find it interesting that this person's saying that, you know, the dad was very loving, like despite the fact that Grandis left. And we knew before this that Grandis had left to be with another woman. So we kind of knew that a little bit of Candace's background, that her mom did end up leaving when, you know, they were still growing up, you know, teens or whatnot. So I just always thought that, you know, because the childhood matters, you know, and it's interesting that, you know, I wonder if Grandma Candy ever feels like she owes it to her children now to make up to them for walking out, you know, like I'm sure she had guilt about it, especially when Rose went missing, because, you know, she left them and she lost time with them in a way, you know what I mean? To go be with that woman who apparently like screwed her over. And thank you, E. Caroline. And hello, Cher. I saw you in chat. Hello. So yeah, what do you think about this thus far? I don't know if you've heard this.
Yeah, I have. Actually listened to this channel as I go to sleep. As what cheesy as that sounds, because what is it? Bed crime stories. But yeah, I mean, it's not like we've just heard from one person that Candace showed this type of jealousy. It's been multiple people, so I tend to believe it. But yeah, that's interesting about the other sister too, and the fact her name's Jeannie, just like Dawn's stepsister, is just crazy too. But yeah.
And didn't we hear also that Rose Bly's children don't have even though, you know, they're still around, obviously, with the father, wherever they're living, Wisconsin, not sure, but she wasn't like allowed to have or Grandma Candace wasn't allowed to have like a relationship with Rose's kids even after Rose went missing, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I have heard that as well.
So it's just very interesting, I feel.
Agreed. Yeah, because I feel like when that kind of came up, people were questioning, well, if she wasn't, you know, why wasn't the relationship there? Was it a legal thing? And if so, then why is she allowed to be around Summer and her brothers and live there? And then there's her brother, which we've kind of talked about.
Yeah. So. And I urge you guys, you know, later to go to and say what you want, but he read the article and did the research, but JLR has a video about Grandma Candace's brother and reads her brother's charges, and it's just very disturbing. And, that is Candace's uncle, and Grandma Candy's brother, and although like you can't always, your siblings are different than you, and, it's not the parents' fault what the children do, and family can't always be blamed or whatever, but it's very interesting to see what kind of, people these people are, where they grew up and what type of upbringing they grew up in. And her brother's record is pretty much as scary as Reverend Donna's premonition. It's like that type of horror.
And that's the thing I feel like with any true crime case, when you're looking at the people involved, you do look at their family, and it's never an excuse for what happened, but it is really interesting just to go back and look at their childhood, environment, genetics, and,
Right. And what their parents grew up with and what they think is normal, quote unquote, it could, as far as the other generations, like whatever Summer and her brothers were witnessing, like it's all relative. And it's
exactly
it's
abuse.
troubling.
Yeah, abuse cycles throughout families and generations. So it's
and
crazy.
it's just like an acceptance sometimes,
Right. And yeah, if they don't, that again, like you said, it's a cycle. That's how they were raised. They don't think about it.
And her brother, Grandma Candy's brother's record might have nothing. And, he was in jail, I believe, anyways. So, I'm not saying that has a link to her going missing, but, in some way or web or connection, like, is there some sort of, did something like this take place? And if you look into it, it's pretty much, like I said, as horrible as Reverend Donna's premonition. So let me just continue here.
Rose. So if we are to believe Rose's friend, and I have no reason to doubt her, it looks like both Candace Bly and Jeannie Bly were jealous of their baby sister Rose. Lots of jealousy floating around the Bly sisters. To me, it sounds like all three sisters were deeply affected by their mother's abandonment, and that they were all desperate for their fair share of their dad's love. Between being abandoned by their mother and having to vie, at least in their minds, for their father's love, some of the sisters, namely Candace and Jeannie, allegedly ended up feeling jealous of the baby sister Rose. Now, I'm not saying that this surprises me or even that it's unnatural. I mean, what siblings don't wonder at some point which one of them is mom or dad's favorite, right? I know I've done that in my family with my brother. In my husband's family, among his three brothers and himself, each one of them has said at some point that he was their mom's favorite. It appears that my husband's mother, who by the way was a psychologist, had the rare ability to make each one of her sons believe that he was her favorite. Too bad all parents don't know how to do that. But for Candace, Jeannie, and Rose, they didn't have their mother there throughout their young lives. So there was a deficit when it came to motherly love, and it appears that they felt they had to fight for their fair share of their remaining parents' love. Regardless of how it happened, and assuming that it did happen, it's very sad that Candace and Jeannie were jealous of Rose, and that Candace appears to still be jealous of Rose, even when she's been missing for 13 long years. Now, I definitely do not believe that her sister's jealousy led to Rose's disappearance, nor do I believe that Candace and or Jeannie had anything to do with Rose's disappearance. The evidence simply doesn't point in that direction. So let's not go running off now and speculating that jealousy was the fuel behind Rose's disappearance. I'm just trying to flesh out what the Bly household looked like and felt like when Candace, Jeannie, and Rose were growing up. Note that when I asked Rose's friend to tell me what she remembers about Candace, this is all that she shared. I don't know much about Candace. She wasn't around when we were friends. Rose didn't talk about her much. End quote. So I hope you found this video both interesting and
So I just wanted to kind of lay a little bit of groundwork and speak on Rose a little bit for a second with that clip there. But I just think also, you know, the family dynamics, and even if the sisters didn't have to, you know, fight for their father's love, the fact that the mother abandoned them for a woman to be with, you know, like in a relationship elsewhere, that has obviously lasting effects on, you know, the children. And, you know, maybe some of the weight that Grandma Candy is carrying for the days that Summer went missing has to do with her feeling like I owe it because I walked out on her. You know what I mean? Like, is there some sort of reason why she's carrying this much weight? So, what other thing is kind of interesting too is like when Grandma Candace does her interview, she says she pretty much blames it, not blames, but says that it was like Candace's idea to go get the pills and go to the ER. So it's like while she does carry the weight, there's times where I've noticed, like in her interview, where she's like, you know, she was like adamant to pretty much say, like, Candace thought I should get my knee checked out. And I believe, and Alex Erickson might know this, wasn't there like some sort of car accident that was very minor that happened before Summer went missing? And Grandma Candy was kind of like bragging about getting pills for that accident or whatever.
I don't know. I hadn't heard that. I mean, nothing would surprise me, but I hadn't heard it.
Like it
But I feel
happened in
like
the dollar store parking lot. I believe H's dad even like knew about it or something.
Okay. And it
I
makes you
don't
again
know.
just wonder why H was in the mix that day. Like maybe Candace did push her mom to go to get whatever
Yeah.
she got, and then let's party with H. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because I believe in H's interview, there's a part where he's talking about the reason why they went there or something, or the Twisted Tea, and he was like, "Well, that was the whole reason." And then he like stops talking and like changes it or something, like stopped himself. But pretty much
Yeah.
it seemed like he was pretty much saying like, you know, the Twisted Teas and stuff was the whole reason why he went along with them. Like I think the objective was I'm getting like Candace was at the ER or whatever with her mom, texted H and was like, "What are you doing?" Or "We're in the process of getting this stuff. Like, you want to meet up or whatever." Like, you know, they obviously had some sort of inappropriate relationship, whether it was physical or not. Like, it just is not normal the way that they would text and stuff. So, him being there, I'm not sure if Candace needed him there for alibi or if it was just kind of like Candace wanting attention because we see that she begs for male attention. You know, since Don's been gone, I mean, the week that Don left, remember she was on there and she was talking about like she loves him, but she's not in love with him. And it was kind of like,
Yes.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
They're
You're
like, does
still,
Dawn know this?
yeah, exactly. Like she instantly was like ready to be done, like and single, ready to mingle, you know, like all the rumors about her being on dating sites, even though she's under some other name, like for her to like she said that she was like using another picture or whatever to that Shannon girl. So like you're that desperate for male attention or to play games, whatever it is that you've made up this like fake persona on dating apps. You know, that's just another level of like wanting attention or wanting some hole and void to fill. It's just kind of demented.
Yeah.
So I
I
just
mean,
feel like she like remember that one TikTok where we kind of laugh about it? Well,
yes.
I've laughed about
Yeah.
it. And it was that Nickelback song and it's
Yes.
talking about, you know, dreaming that you'll be with me. And
Yeah.
like I bet we were like wondering what is this about? You know what I mean? Like who is this to? Like
Mhm.
who is was it Jose that she was desperate and lost? Was it H? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what is going on?
Yeah. And you could tell, I don't know that Candace can truly feel love, like how she was in love with Benny, but you could tell when she would get on camera with Benny and see him and start interacting with him, she was very comfortable and giddy and like happy, I guess, for Candace, if she can really be happy. But I think that's very interesting when you just look at her as a whole person and the fact she's lost all of her children that she's given birth to, either, to the system, one missing, it's just, there's so much to it all, I feel. Yeah, she would light up for Benny and Chitty Chatty Meg. I agree.
And Irish D, you keep changing your name. I want to say D Irish, but now it's Irish D. Okay. She said right here that, Candace was into Benny before Don was locked up and that she had seen it months ago on her Facebook post. And I remember you sending me, screenshots of those posts. And it was just kind of like, this is interesting, just sharing songs and like changing her cover photo to something that had to do with Texas, some
and on Summer's 9-month missing post on findsummerwells.com mentions a little bit about Summer being missing, and then it says, and happy birthday, Benny. It's like, really? You have to tie that into your missing child? I don't know. It's all not sane.
As soon as she started getting attention from Ernie
Stern Dog,
she had no problem breaking things off with BK. It's just like you're that desperate for.
And I bet she loved them fighting.
Oh,
over. She's
she
like,
never had. Well, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah,
Maybe
but I
she
wonder.
had people fight over her. I don't know.
I just wonder what Dawn thinks about everything. I'd love to hear Dawn right now.
He's going through detox and hearing all this stuff.
Yes. Because I think Cher emailed him and told him.
Yeah. Because she was saying that she had said something to him about the phone and that stuff. And then, that was a really interesting live stream. And actually, I have a little minute mark that I'm going to play from that. And let me just get into the alleged hydrocodone. I think that's how you say it. Yeah. Pills that she got that day prescribed. People are saying that who went to the Wells house, that was the prescription that was picked up at Walgreens. That's what the doctor at the ER prescribed Grandma Candy. Take it for what you will. This is hearsay coming from people who were at the house, though. I hear you sighing every time.
Oh, I forgot I wasn't on mute. I'm like taking deep breaths. Okay, sorry.
I'm like, well, I know she hates hearsay, but man.
No. Oh my gosh. No, I was just like taking a deep breath. And then I like blew my little paper covering my camera off. And I was like, oh no. But yeah, that was what was happening.
So yeah, there is hearsay going around that was a prescription, the hydrocodone, which is an opioid. I guess it's stronger. D Irish, let me know if I'm getting this right or wrong. We were looking into it a little bit and said it was stronger than codeine. So let me just share the clips. This clip is coming from Benny's channel, and then the clip after it was from their live stream last night on Shares.
Can I say one thing real fast? So one question I have is the fact it was a Tuesday and 8 a.m. she goes to the ER rather than like a walk-in type clinic. I just wonder if on the way from their house to the ER, if there are any more like, I don't know, I feel like a walk-in clinic is cheaper than the ER and faster. I just think it's interesting they specify the ER. Like, why did they choose to go to the hospital rather than like a walk-in clinic on a Tuesday morning?
Right. And it makes you think like it would almost make you wonder, So if they're looking, and this is just allegedly, because it does happen a lot of times, people will fake things so that they get prescriptions, if it was something that they were just fishing to get some pills, going to the ER would make it way more severe looking. You know what I mean? Like, oh gosh, that's how bad it is. I had to come to the emergency room. Like if it's like not that serious, then they would go to the 5-star or whatever and just be like, what can you give me? But if they're trying, this has to be sellable, that it's really bad and we're willing to go to the ER for it. Like maybe it was something like that.
That's what I agree. Like that they chose the ER. I think they were trying to get pills that day. That's one of my opinions about that day.
And that's the thing is like, now we have to get into what's weaker and what's stronger and all that, like hydros, they're not anything to be like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, you're drinking it with a twisted tea, one hydro can turn into whatever, much more serious of a, much more greater of a party than just taking a hydro and chilling. You know what I mean? Like they had, you guys got to remember, they had alcohol involved, and twisted tea, while they are, sweet or whatever, and just kind of like, they're still, not that, they're not weak. They're not one of the weakest forms of alcohol. They're not the strongest, but it's just interesting that there's twisted teas that day and possible opioid use. And yeah, Tiny Ghost, I'm sure of it. I think D Irish looked it up too, where we were kind of reviewing the possibilities and this and that, and I've talked to my fiance about it, and he pretty much was under the impression like if it was something that she, and we're saying Summer allegedly took some or whatever and got sick, and this is just theories, throwing stuff out there just because she would have to take like a few, you know what I mean? And what child really likes to like swallow pills, so I'm just not really sure if I'm like thinking that she took some because Candace and H were doing it too, so she's just doing it to be like them, and grandma probably. And this is all alleged. But
yeah, I go back and forth.
It's kind of like, is it a possibility? Maybe. And I'm sure law enforcement have thought that too. You know what I mean? Like, did she possibly take whatever prescription they were getting? It's kind of like, I'm sure everyone's kind of thought about it. But I'm not sold that that's what's happening. But I think it's interesting that we kind of have to note that is sort of, not the weakest form of painkiller. It's an opioid, so that being picked up on that specific day is kind of interesting.
Agree. Of all days, ER, prescription, and H, and a 5-year-old child goes missing, and we have extremely odd behavior from all the adults involved that day, and lies. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's just, and remember, and I'll play it after these clips about the hydro. But Candace or Grandma Candy, I know everyone doesn't like when she's called Grandis now. So now I'm like having trouble saying Grandma
I
Candy.
still say Grandis. Like, sorry.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well,
sorry.
Okay. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Grandis pretty much puts the weight on, it was Candace's idea to go to the ER. Like, she thought I should go. Like, that's pretty much what she's saying. So let me just play these and we will get back. I'm just making Mia Moore crack up today.
Shannon, when she was there in January, she saw a pill bottle on the table that said Candace Hair. It was for June 15th. and it was for hydrocodone. Hydrocodone. 3 possibilities for his yawning. He said he was up all night the night before and he was tired. He also has ADHD, and that is a very common neurologic compensation, or just because he's lying. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Latina.
No, I have no idea. She wouldn't say the name to it. Got it. And then we handed a prescription. They said, no, I have no idea. She wouldn't say the name to it.
She wouldn't say the name to it. I know. Shannon read the bottle for June 15th. It was there. And I'll have you know, that is not Candace Bly's prescription. It is Candace Hare's prescription. So we also know that Grandma on the 4th of June, 11 days before this, was also at the hospital with an issue.
So there he sort of he didn't really elaborate much on it during the live stream, but he ended it with saying a week before that they were at the doctor again for a different issue. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is they got rear-ended in the Dollar Store parking lot, and she got pills from that quote unquote accident because I don't know, but that's the rumor that I'm hearing. So is this whole trip on the 15th another attempt to kind of re-up because, it was a week later?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I didn't hear that about that they had been there before, but yeah.
I'm sure somebody in the comment section or somebody will touch base with the details on that, the one that I'm referring to, like the rumor, I guess you could say it, about them kind of getting pills prior to that 15th. I know somebody's got to know what I'm talking about. Pink Dahlia says, yep. About what? Pill shopping that day? Okay, so this is from the live stream last night, and I'm only playing a small segment, and I urge you guys, and take what you will from it. These people were there at the property. They were helping Candace fix up the house. They'd seen things firsthand, and you can believe them or not, pretty much. Like, it's just kind of like this whole case has a lot of that in it. Like, even with Allie and H and all those interviews, like, everyone's kind of been like, do we believe Dudley? Do we believe, you know what I mean? So this is just what they've said. They were friends with Candace. Now they're not. So I find what they're saying interesting.
Sure. I mean, are there specifics that you want to know?
The opiate bottle.
Oh, yeah, about that. So the puppies were only about a month old, right? So she had them in a box. It was a pretty heavy duty box, but it was just as you walk into the kitchen, and it's on the floor right next to their second sink that Don wanted put out there, I guess, and instead of the bathroom so that they could brush their teeth. Well, about 3 feet from that is the kitchen table, and I was sitting there, and it was my last day there. I was getting ready to go, so of course I wanted to hold all the little puppies because I'm an animal nut, and they were so damn cute. And I picked one of them up, and he was laying in the craziest little position with his little fat belly sticking up, and I said, oh my God, I gotta hold him. So I picked him up, and he stayed asleep, and I had my phone in my hand, and I was taking pictures of the dogs, and I went to set my phone on the table because I was going to put the puppy in my hoodie pouch. And it's just, it's just one of those things. And as I did that, I noticed that there was a prescription pill bottle on the counter, or on the table right in front of me. It was about, I'd say, a foot from the edge of the table when I set my phone down. And I had noticed that I could see just the letters US and then Harer. And it said, I saw dracodone. So obviously it's going to be hydrocodone, right? Mm-hmm. And it said June 15th on it. I didn't see what doctor, I didn't see what pharmacy, because that stuff's usually off to the left. I didn't see if there was any refills or anything like that on it because that stuff's typically on the back. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't touch it. I tried not to make it known that I saw it.
Just a mental
but it said
note.
June 15th, Candace Harer and hydrocodone.
Which is, you know, it's interesting because, yeah, what did we hear? She got Motrin or ibuprofen and a cortisol shot or some sort of nerve blocker shot. Never did we hear anything about the opioids. But the interesting part about the opioids that happened on the 15th via what Shannon saw was that on the 4th of June, there was almost a mirror situation that happened. The way that it all built up, it almost started to look like a practice run, right? So
that's what I was saying. Yes.
Yes.
So the text messages that happened with Hunter and them are real. The exact same thing played out 2 weeks prior.
11 days to be exact.
11 days. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So you've got.
And remember that text message that was going around CDT of H?
I do, yes.
Do you remember?
I do. And it was basically kind of what they said happened that morning, but the text was June 4th. I can't remember what exactly it said, but I saw it on somebody's community post.
Yep.
And so for them to all be saying that whatever played out 11 days before June 15th, it's interesting. But if she went missing before the 15th, that means Allie and obviously H, but Allie and even her grandbun aren't being honest.
Right. And why would what would give them benefit to lie?
Unless
on
H,
that degree.
Yeah, H knows more.
I definitely think H knows more because remember Allie in that interview with JLR, she said H's father only got involved after he heard about the reward money.
Yes.
So why would the father think that he'd be getting some reward money unless he thought or knew from the mother that the son knew more? So there was a possibility to get it.
Yeah, he's still talking about Summer and goes on panels. It's interesting to see. But yeah, the whole reward money thing is very, very telling in my opinion.
Right, because it's insinuating that he holds the key, and he very well could. A lot of people have floated around the idea that H holds the key, and then others have said the boys, Summer's brothers, hold the key. And, it's just like, where in the timeline did something happen? That is still something I don't know.
Yeah. There's all this speculation too that H went back to Candace's house that day. And that's speculation, but I have definitely heard people speculate on that.
The fact that Candace says, and I told him, you're not coming back home. It's like, he wasn't asked.
The screenshot where she said, Hun, Sum, and I were planting flowers. And then someone said, were you off the shits? And she said, put a thumbs up. And then, I don't know, they've come, whoever, I think it was even Benny, says he does believe those messages. Same with the ones that she had with Crime Stories Obsessed. He said he does believe that was Grandis.
And, yeah, for sure. Because remember, a lot of people were unsure then. And now it's kind of like, that was definitely Grandis. What was I going to say?
Yeah, and I agree, Voices. That's exactly where I was going with that. I think they specifically went to the ER instead of a walk-in clinic because they were drug seeking that morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to say and maybe Amanda knows. She just showed up.
Hey, Amanda,
you're not in labor yet?
Or are you? It was 2 more months.
Oh, gosh. But wasn't there something, and I think you even know, where they were Grandis was talking about pills she had, and she said to Candace, don't worry, I'll give you some. There was something recently going around where
I feel like I heard that from that Shannon lady.
Yeah,
said
she had witnessed some conversation
Yes.
or something, and Grandis was reassuring Candace that she'd be giving her some.
Yeah, and she said she would keep like little alcohol bottles for her too. But
So
yeah,
it just was like, I don't know. All right, let me see. I think there might have been a few more minutes in this I wanted to play.
You've got what looks like this dry run, but in that situation on the 4th, Hunter reached out to Candace first. Hunter asked Candace to come and see him. Candace responded back. 11 days before. Yep. Responded back, well, where's your mom? And then H says, well, she stayed with grandma. So you had all of this, stuff going on with the pills. And meanwhile, they tried to minimize, they always try to back themselves out of having anything to do with the pills. And I wondered why,
Shout out to Jays for Justice. I love you.
Good evening, Jay. Hope you had a happy Easter.
You guys, wow. Okay, everything.
It's a lot. It's
yeah,
a whole
it
lot.
is. Let me bring up this video because I really want to know what you.
Okay, and like I said, Cher's channel is linked in my description box, and I know it's been linked in chat. So if you want to hear that whole talk, feel free to check that out. She said ER can only give a couple tablets though, like 12 count tops. Has to be primary doctor that gives a legit script and refills, which would make sense if they had gone previously, you know what I mean, for that rear-ending incident or whatever reason they were there on the 4th of June and got the script and then, runs out. They want more, you know what I mean? And
yeah, that makes sense.
And yes, it is definitely like a lower level painkiller. We were speculating, though, however, the twisted tea mixed with a hydro, and True saying that her brother came home inebriated that day. Remember?
Yeah, that was very early on. She did, and I feel like True also said Summer was asleep, but Amanda might know that. I feel like she did, but I can't remember for sure. But she could have also been going by what Allie had said. I don't know.
Right.
Mia Moore Michelle says yes. So about True, or I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's interesting to go back to the very beginning screenshots too.
Yep. And in the very beginning screenshots, you found that a doctor's appointment was mentioned for H.
Ooh.
Remember?
No,
I found it in your notes.
I did.
I'm telling you what you have. Yeah, we found it in your notes, like when you had gone back, and somewhere somebody did say that H did go to a doctor's appointment, and then like he doesn't say it to Chris McDonough for some reason, but then his parents came out saying it recently that like, yeah, he had a doctor's appointment, and then his parents came out retracting it. So it's just very interesting that like there is question on for sure, which we always knew that H's story didn't always add up. But yeah, there's kind of some discrepancies from his parents and H himself on where exactly he was that day after. So this is, I have a minute mark, and the link is in the description box if you guys want to watch the whole thing, but it's just talking about, I think, the twisted tea, if I'm reading my notes right. So I just wanted to kind of refresh on the fact that Candace blames the twisted teas on her mother. So it's just kind of like another weight that the mother is carrying, or the grandma is carrying about things that took place that day, that instead of, whether she's telling the truth or not, Candace, we don't know, pretty much.
About the tea thing, right? And there's Can over there and stuff. Now, I asked Hunter,
When we come down
tell me
here,
the
this
story
whole
on that.
place was littered in trash.
Okay.
It was all trash down here. Like, them teas were all over through there, all through everywhere.
Okay.
There was flowers that my mom wanted to pick from here, and I said, Mom, you better not do that. It's a state park. You get
Okay.
in trouble for that if you get caught.
Okay.
I'm not getting caught for that.
Okay.
And I told her that, and we just walked on back to the truck. But I don't know where that iced tea coming from. I know that I did buy an iced tea
Okay.
from the smoke shop in town, but I bought that iced tea from my mother.
Okay. Okay.
And if she was here today, she would tell you that.
Right. Right.
And the vapes that I bought
Yep.
were nicotine vapes from the hippie house
Next door.
right next door.
Okay.
Well, no, they're kind of one's further down by the mall. The smoke shop's further down by the mall where I got the iced tea, and the hippie house is just right over here before you cross over the bridge.
Got it. Okay. So the smoke shop where you bought the
We went to the hospital
right
and picked up my mom.
Right.
And then we stopped at the smoke shop and I got Mom that twisted tea that she wanted. And then I stopped at the hippie house and got me some smoked nicotine vapes. Is what I got.
Okay. What
And
flavor?
I think they were Skittles.
Okay.
Because that's kind of like.
Do they have like a different
They
flavor?
actually taste like Skittles.
Okay.
It's the only kind I'll buy.
Okay.
And then we left from there and we went straight down to Walgreens and went to the drive-thru. But after we were done at the hippie house, I think we bought 3 of them. I think, I believe. And I set them right there on the council, and he asked for one. I said, no, you can't have none.
Did he take one?
I don't know.
See, like this, I'm thinking that she's referring to this twisted tea. Or is she talking about this vapes? Because first she said she bought 1 twisted tea for her mom. And then like even referred to the tea as plural, where it was like 1. Then it kind of like you saw how the transition during his editing. And now she's saying there's 3. And he went to reach one and she told him no. And I swear she's talking about the twisted tea. So it's like it went from 1 tea to 3, if I'm right in this. Let me continue this. But I think I wrote in my notes that like now all of a sudden there was 3 twisted teas.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't. Okay. But then we went to the Walgreens and dropped off my thing. We gotta wait 30 minutes. Why don't we just bring Summer down here and let her play for a little bit?
Okay.
And that's
So let me just rewind it real quick.
gotta wait 30 minutes. Why don't we just bring? And he asked for one. I said, no, you can't have none.
Did he take one?
I think they were Skittles.
Okay.
Because that's kind of like.
Do they have like a different
They
flavor?
actually taste like Skittles.
Okay.
It's the only kind I'll buy.
Okay.
And then we left from there and we went straight down to Walgreens and went to the drive-thru. But after we were done at the hippie house, I think we bought 3 of them. I think, I believe. And I set them right there on the council, and he asked for one. I said, no, you can't have none.
Did he take one?
I don't know.
So I are they talking about the twisted tea, or are they talking about?
I took it as the vapes right there. Like it switched and the vapes. She bought 3 Skittles vapes. But I don't believe the vapes were for her. Because like Amanda said, we've never seen her vape. And she's like I know a certain brand of like orange juice I buy or whatever. And he's like, what kind of orange juice do you buy? I'd be like, Simply Orange. That's the only kind I like. I wouldn't be like, I think Simply Orange. That's the only kind I'll buy. That's what I like. Like, I just don't think those vapes were for her.
Right. So she's denying buying the vapes because obviously it's illegal to buy them for underage. So she's just lying.
I think she's admitting to buying them, but not admitting that H took one. Or like kind of thing. I don't know, you know?
Yeah, because I feel like she does say that H took one.
Honestly, I don't. Okay. But then we went to the Walgreens and dropped off Mom's prescription. I said, well, if we gotta wait 30 minutes, why don't we just bring Summer down here and let her play for a little bit?
Okay.
And that's what we did.
Okay.
I mean, there was nothing. I honestly didn't see him drink nothing down here. I don't know what he's talking about. I really don't.
All right. So it's your word against his, basically.
Pretty much.
Okay. On this scenario right here. Okay, so from here, where do you guys go?
Walgreens, you pick up my mom's prescription.
Okay, is that the Walgreens right down at the edge here?
Right straight across.
It's the one that
I don't know. But pretty much she, the tea that was bought was for her mother. So the pills that day and the trip to the ER was for her mother, even though her mother says it was Candace's idea that she go. And the twisted tea that was bought that day was for her mother too. I'm just going to skip ahead to looks like 23-minute mark, and she's pretty much going to talk about how the mom gave Summer candy. And even though, it's not so much really blaming something on the mom, but it's interesting to know because we don't hear about Summer really eating that day. And one of the things that she eats is candy from the grandma. So it's interesting that the grandmother is kind of being put on the spot again as being somebody and the only person to give Summer something to ingest, like while they're at the house, allegedly. So, it would be in her stomach or whatever, I guess, if it would be her last meal or whatever before she went.
Yeah. I see where you're going with that for sure. And then, Grandis was the one who wanted to plant the flowers. Another thing putting on to Grandis.
Exactly. And it's like, and she said about the twisted tea, and you can ask her, and my mom will tell you that. And it's like, she just already has the complete confidence, whether it's because it's the truth or they have some sort of I got your back or you owe me type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Probably 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. I don't know. We're not real fast people. We don't.
Okay. Your Tennessee time.
Yeah,
just sitting on a porch.
Chill.
Drinking some sweet tea and just.
I don't drink tea.
Okay, but chatting around.
Yeah, just chat pretty much. Me and Mom drink Mountain Dew.
Okay.
That's what we do. We drink Mountain Dew. Yep. And summer, we got done. We washed our hands real quick. Went in Grandma's house, and she asked Grandma for a piece of candy. She always does.
Okay.
And of course, Grandma gives it to her.
Sure.
And she wanted a piece of candy, so Grandma gave it to her. We were sitting there for about, 5-10 minutes maybe at the most. And she was, Mom, I want to go back to the house with my brothers. I was like, all right. So I got up and I walked her back across to where I could literally see her walking to my doorstep.
Okay.
And she
front door, back door?
No, I don't know if you want to call it the front door or back door because I don't really consist which way.
Which door is it? Yeah, in some of the pictures I see there's a door around the bottom and the back.
Not the basement door. I call it the kitchen door is what I call it.
Okay.
And she walked in there, and there's a scaffolding that we have for steps, the yellow and black scaffolding we have for steps. Okay. And I put my hand on the scaffold. I said, boys, watch something. I'll be right back. And I had to go over and help Mom. She was still sitting over there. And I had to go in and get her knee brace and fix it for her because it was twisted and crap.
Okay.
It took me like 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not a time person. Never have been.
Okay.
And next thing I know, I said, Mom, I'm going back over with the kids.
So, she was preoccupied with Grandma there to kind of even do her knee brace too. You know what I mean? So not only was Grandma one of the last people to give Summer something to ingest before she went missing, the candy, but it was Grandma's idea to go and plant flowers. And, Candace had to tend to her grandma or to her mother, the grandmother, because her knee brace was all twisted. So it's just like the story is just so reliant on Grandma kind of just being the sole story script pretty much. Grandma wanted to plant flowers. Like it's literally like all Grandma's day. And it's just really bizarre. So I don't know. What do you do you believe like everything? Like, what are you thinking pretty much?
No, I don't believe the day went like they're saying. I think maybe to a degree it did. I just really struggle if I think it was more planned out or accidental. But I really like how you put everything together because when you think about each activity, I mean, Grandis is right there in the center of it all. And she does put a lot onto her. Like, Grandis is the reason that she wasn't able to watch Summer, allegedly. It's, yeah.
And it's interesting that, you know, for some reason, you know, whether it's the truth or not, Grandma is totally fine with kind of being the bearer of that whole script, planting flowers, going to the ER. You know, it's just kind of like strange. Let me pull up her interview and she'll kind of talk about, you know, the candy, and let me just pull that up and we'll go from there. But I don't know, it's just it's so hard to know if it's just some script that it's easy for them to kind of roll with, because I don't know. I don't even know. Like, that's the thing. It's like I have these things and that like keep reoccurring. It just being the Grandis being the common denominator, and I don't know where to go with like why is this lined up this way? So it pretty much is like the reason for this live stream is kind of to pick your guys' brain over it too, and kind of show you that like for some reason a lot of this weight of the day is actually centered around Grandis. So let me I think I want to fast forward a little bit.
I just know that I can't speak for Donnie, and I know Candace hasn't because she's told me she hasn't, and I have not. If law enforcement wants to talk to me, TBI wants to talk to me, they have my phone number. They know when I leave the state. They know when I'm here.
Summer Wells' grandmother, Candace Hare, says she hasn't spoken with law enforcement since December 13th.
They have not contacted me since the YouTubers were down here in the driveway, and we asked them about trespassing.
Summer's grandma was with her granddaughter all day on June 15th, the day she disappeared. She walked me through what they did that day and said she and Summer were repotting cactus plants outside of her camper, and then
Summer came in and had a piece of peppermint, which is her favorite, and then she went in. She said, Mama, I want to go play with the boys. Candy walked her back to the house, and she asked the boys to keep an eye on her.
And I don't know, and obviously this may be reaching, and, you know, I just look into every little detail. I did notice, though, that hydros were kind of the same color as peppermint candy. Not saying that, like, and we've discussed this too, is like, you know, a child chewing on pills or even swallowing a pill, not really gonna, I don't really buy it, but it's just interesting that she gave her peppermint candy, and, you know, and Don talks about Tic Tacs being her favorite, and it's just, you know, they kind of like look like pills in a way. Just an observation.
And that's the last time I seen her.
As the 9-month mark of when her granddaughter was reported missing approaches, she says the social media and online rumors have to stop.
If they want to help, that's great. But if they want to spread lies, that's a different story. Because that's all they're doing now is spreading lies. They're reaching and trying to figure out what lie can we spread now. And I'm tired of it.
Candace Wells made a statement but did not go on.
Rose has been missing for 12 years. I miss her dearly. She's the baby of the family. I had 3 girls, and she's my baby. Yeah, Candace is my baby too, but she's my youngest one. And it's heartbreaking, and then have to go through it again with my granddaughter.
So that was just like the clip I wanted to play after we kind of discussed it a little bit, where she kind of had to like clarify and throw it out there, you know. Was it for Candace specifically for her to hear her say like, Candace is my baby too?
Yeah.
it just seems, I just keep getting like this feeling that, like, for whatever reason, Grandis feels like she owes it to Candace for whatever to carry all this, like, whatever. I don't know. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I almost like I just wonder about her living situation if she really doesn't have anywhere else to go but to stay with Dawn and Candace. I mean, Dawn is
Right.
gone now, but I mean, it could
Yeah,
just
I
be for
sort
the
of was
living
thinking that
situation.
too.
Yeah.
Like, where, she's kinda living on Don's property, so, maybe she's getting along with him because of that, you know what I mean? Because, where else would she go? But I'm like, or is it more? They all know some secret and they're just carrying it together, so that's kinda like brought them together in some way because, like we mentioned, Don said Grandis never liked him. Now all of a sudden they're getting along. Yeah, I agree, Irish Detox. She says, seems like she had to reassure Candace.
Yeah. Like, it should go without saying it. There's no need to mention Candace in that moment. It's just off, in my opinion. Just my opinion. It is telling about the whole relationship dynamic, etc.
Yeah, and Lisa Lee, I feel like in my notes when I'm writing this stuff down, that's the vibe I was sort of getting at in my mind. Because very early on, Grandis in these text messages to her friends said she mentioned the nap and she also mentioned the candy thing. It's always been something that Grandis has stuck to. I gave her a piece of candy. Even Candace has always said that. So Lisa Lee said the reason they make sure to mention the candy is because if it turns out Summer overdosed, they can use that in their confession. Well, I thought it was candy. I totally even have thought that about it. Did H give her some pills? You know what I mean? And even I don't know, like, did they know about H giving her pills? So it either they literally gave her the pills, like she says, I gave her a piece of candy, or it's like somebody else, or I don't know, obviously, but your comment pretty much is what I was sort of maybe, I think, thinking that it was sort of lined up and it's in the script as I gave her a piece of candy. And then Don mentioning that Tic Tacs were her favorite. I don't know. Just strange. But for Rose Bly purposes and getting her information out there, I'm going to just play the rest of this clip because it shows a age progression pic in it.
Summer is very heartbreaking. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is what a parent goes through, what a grandmother goes through. I know it's hard for them if they pass away from COVID or some other tragedy. It's the not knowing is what tears us up. It's the not knowing.
Okay. And yeah, there's too much emphasis on candy. I've always felt like the candy even stuck out, like, did she choke on it? You know what I mean? But it's like, it can mean so many different things.
Yeah, there's so many scenarios, I feel. And just because, okay, then going back to what the alleged friend of Grandis told Critical K, that Summer wasn't well, which I don't think Summer looked well in the milk video. Still can't really decide what I think about that video as a whole, but if it was really taken at 3:09 p.m. on June 15th, I don't think Summer looked well. So, I mean, maybe it is something as simple as like and not simple, but there was an accident and then Dawn did just, I don't know. But I go back to JLR's interview with Allie, Sherry, and Grand Ben. They basically say that they didn't take the kids for medical care. And one of them had burned his finger or hand pretty badly, and then they didn't take him and just left for their trip the next day. Like there was an injury on a dirt bike. So
Right. And that the thing too is it can be on so many levels of not wanting something to be discovered. Like it could be hiding drugs, you know what I mean? The parents using them, the kids using them. I mean, Summer being under the influence of whatever, like we're saying, she didn't look well, like, but for what reason? You know what I mean?
Right.
There's so many scenarios, and we've talked about the narcotics involved. We've talked about twisted tea, alcohol being involved. Like, we don't know because there's so many different variables, like the dirt bike, even like you just mentioned. Could there have been some sort of accident, like trauma, internal bleeding? And that's what's going on in that picture. Like we just don't know. And it's like, I'm just going to play this truck video and get a little glimpse and then play the last thing that pretty much ties grandma to something is the orange soda. That was grandma's too. It's just interesting. The script has a lot to do with Grandis.
She still got her arm up? No. Oh, that's what I was trying to get at. She still got her arm up? No. Oh, that's what I was trying to get at. Still got her arm up.
Like, and that's the thing, and I don't know if anyone has done this or not, but if you guys ever show anyone who's not following the Summer Wells case, and then you show them the picture of Summer up against the milk jugs, I'm curious what their reaction is, because my fiance, the first time he saw it on my laptop screen, he was just it's an instant like, what's going on in this pic? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that being the last photo of her. It's just another thing about this case that's just like, why? Why
Yeah.
is that the case? Like, we don't know what's going on in it. It can be so many different things. And we didn't even mention, the dry drowning thing that was going on early on. I just feel like it's not the abduction like the parents have said. Anything the parents have said, I just feel like it's not that.
I agree.
So this one's not a video. It's just audio that you had sent me from the interview. And it's just Candace pretty much explaining whose soda that was in the truck.
You gave him a tea.
He didn't ask me for nothing.
Okay, I'm just...
He asked me for a Mountain Dew.
Okay.
I got him a Mountain Dew.
Okay, where did the orange crush come from on the seat with Summer?
That was my mom. She was drinking that and then didn't want no more of it.
And what about the candy on the seat?
Oh, that candy's been in.
Okay.
So we have orange soda, Grandis's. The narcotics that were needed that day, Grandis's. The twisted tea, Grandis. The candy that was given to Summer, which was like the only thing we heard her eat that day besides slushies, Grandis gave it to her. The whole script of planting flowers, that was Grandis's idea. So then we don't hear from Grandis for how many months?
Yeah, June until I think she came out in March or February, like right in there.
Yeah.
It was right as they were doing that at the end of February. They were searching again. Then Lawson came out, and then Ansley got Grandis on camera.
And Grandis
like Candace wouldn't, but she could do a note. But she can go on YouTube and not share one word about Summer. But she won't do it on the news. That just bothers me.
Shivers. because
Yeah,
it's
that
just so gross.
they both have missing daughters, and they're not using any of their platforms or energy to plead and, you know, let people know about them.
And we just don't know, you know, the timeline. So that's like a whole question mark. And Grandis, you know, finally comes out on camera, and we see she talks about Rose, but has to reassure Candace in that moment that she's still the
Yes.
baby. Like,
Yep.
I'm sorry, but this is just very weird. You know, it's very much making me feel like at first when Grandis came out, and I even did like a live stream about my reaction with it, I was feeling like, you know, well, you know, I feel, you know, she might have been going through some PTSD and that's why she left the state. And, you know, I gave her more of a benefit of a doubt for leaving, even though I thought it was very weird. Now I'm just like looking back and just like feeling like, you know, there's a lot of weight for Grandis to be carrying that day. You know, why would she willingly, unless it's the truth? Again, it could very well be the truth. I don't think it is, but you know, it's just I'm feeling like Grandis owes Candace for whatever reason. Is it because she abandoned her? Is it because something happened that day? I don't know. But for some reason, those are my notes and the vibe that I've been getting, and I just wanted your guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel Grandis protects Candace, enables Candace, and probably the other way around too. But yeah, what is the reason behind that? I feel like it could be one or multiple reasons.
Yeah. So it's like, once again, just, you know, some reoccurring things that I'd notice, and it just leaves me with more questions pretty much. But I think that it's interesting that a lot of the script that day had so much to do with Grandis, and we didn't hear from her for so long.
I agree.
What did Mike say? Amanda said, good point. Why doesn't law enforcement and media say the last known image and video was at the horse pond? Law enforcement never mentioned this car video, as I know.
Yeah, I don't feel like law enforcement has even mentioned the TikTok video, really. They say, Leslie Earnhardt said at a press conference, they asked if they had been able to narrow down a timeline, and she said Summer was last seen early afternoon. The 911 call was at 6:30, but that they had looked for her prior. So yeah, but then yeah, with Ansley Daniels, she didn't mention the 309 video because she said something like they don't look at YouTube. But I don't know. I just don't feel like. I feel like Ellie knows by now if they were really uploaded when Candace said that they were uploaded. But they're not going to share that, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting to think about.
It is. And in the same way that it's like, even if those videos weren't taken when they're being told they were, I'm worried that a defense for Candace from like a lawyer, this is all if it ever went this far, would be able to explain something. And, you know, like we have to make sure that her charges, or, you know, whoever they go after, which I'm pretty certain that like it's being narrowed down to the same people that saw her that day or last to see her that day. It's got to be solid. And like it's been 10 months, but if they can get something solid, I'm willing to wait a little longer. Because look what happened with Barry. Like,
yes,
again, it's constitutional rights and just the way it is. You know, they don't have Susan's body, so it's very hard for them to kind of stick him with whatever right now. I understand that, as sad as so I didn't follow that case very closely, but I know a lot of people were like distraught by that verdict today, where, you know, he's walking free. we need something solid, and they didn't have Susan's body, so it makes me feel like that's what they're waiting for in this case or something.
Yeah, I feel like they said that they are close. They think that they know where her body is, but
Yeah.
snow is in the way, and
I
they
heard
can
that
still
too.
try him, thankfully. But yeah, I think you're like you said, they just don't want to file charges and have it fall apart, basically.
Right. We can't have it fall apart. So, and yeah, they can charge Barry at any point if they get something that sticks, obviously, but it's probably good if we wait it out a little bit. You know, it's been 10 long months, but hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully something's being built solid.
Agree. And 10 months isn't, I mean, I still have a lot of hope. I feel like in the scheme of things,
Yeah.
I feel like this case is probably pretty complex.
And like you've always said, the boys' statements will matter and hopefully will carry a lot of weight.
Right.
And I think it will. So, all right, guys, that's pretty much it. So I really appreciate you coming on, CDT. And if anyone has not subscribed to CDT, her link is in the description box. Let me just make sure I link it in chat too. And yeah, anything you want to add?
I really like the way that you set up these lives and get the clips and bring them all kind of together for us. And once you really do start putting the whole Grandis situation together, it just feels to me like another layer to this where I feel like all three adults on that hill know what happened to Summer to some degree.
Yeah.
If they weren't directly involved or whatever, I just feel like, yeah, they're all, like you've said, kind of protecting each other for whatever reason.
Right. Unfortunately, it's seeming that way. Yeah.
But that's my opinion, allegedly, how I feel about it. Just putting this all together over the 10 months that we've been like researching and listening to so much. And then, like you've said, Grandis was allegedly present for every stop, the Priceless grocery store, the hippie house, all of that. But yet we've only heard a verbal interview from her one time. She doesn't go on the news and plead for Summer. I just think that's very, very telling.
Mm-hmm. And that's almost, I feel like, a way for them to build a case too, even though it's circumstantial. You've seen so many times, including Scott Peterson case, where they've used the behavior against him.
Absolutely.
And the prosecution is going to pull all cards out for this case, whatever they have to do, you know, when and if it gets to that level, hopefully, you know, because we want justice for this girl. You know, she's been gone almost a year. It's kind of like she's not going to disappear. And I don't know if they thought maybe that's what was going to happen, like Rose did again. Like that's sort of the vibe I'm getting at too. It's like you said, Don saying they never found her either. It sounds so confident.
And I just don't think they realized how big it would get. But probably in hindsight, he realizes him going on YouTube led to it. In my opinion, is one reason this case is so big, because we do have so many interviews between him and Candace and discussions on YouTube. Some maybe they're more sober, some they're very intoxicated. And it's just something I've never really seen in a true crime case where the parents are inserting themselves into the whole community of YouTube talking about their missing daughter, but they don't focus on their missing daughter. It's just so bizarre. And like you said, it's just not going to go anywhere. It's
yeah. So, which, you know, where has anyone seen Candace? I know she's kind of hasn't been around for a few days. Like, does anyone know what's going on? Anyone in chat or comment down below? I'm just like curious.
I actually, this evening, I think she was on Ernie's last night and she did not sound well at all. I caught the end of Allie's live. She played a little bit of it. I was rewatching some of it, and then someone linked in one of the comments on Allie's live a clip to the video, and it's Ernie talking to Candace, and you can barely understand. I mean, it's like the worst I've probably ever heard her.
What, like intoxicated?
Yeah, almost like not. Oh, I don't know. Like it was really bad, but I think that happened last night. Let's see. Yeah.
All
I
right.
need to look just out of curiosity, but yeah, if anyone wants, go to Alex Erickson, and if it's still in the comments, there's a link to it.
Amanda said in chat last night in Ernie's, she sounded bad.
Yeah, and that's like
growing up
Allie
too, Karen said.
Allie said, like, she was like, I don't even feel comfortable playing this. Which I don't blame Allie for that. Like, it was very uncomfortable from just a little bit I heard. Yeah, I found the
her
link.
mother not there?
I've heard that she's not, but I don't know for sure.
Crazy Crime Chick said she didn't sound intoxicated to me. She sounds sick.
I
Almost
think
said she has
sounds-
COVID, but kept dry heaving. I gotta
But then-
check this out now. I mean, not live because I'm like tired.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But
I
yeah.
think she could have COVID and still be intoxicated personally.
Okay, grandma is gone again. That's not good.
Yeah, 'cause she-
okay, even if she's intoxicated or sick, either one of those, like,
or
she
both.
needs her mom.
Yeah. It's great. Ugh. Yeah.
Is sick off of drinking too much.
It was really bad.
All right. Yeah. If Alex didn't want to play her, then yeah, I probably shouldn't put her up either. So I'll check it out in the privacy of my own home.
Yeah.
Peeking in there, like, oh God.
I know. And
it's
no, I
literally
hate
a horror.
it.
It's a horror movie watching Candace, honestly.
And it's sad. I mean, and I don't feel for Candace really, but like it, no matter what, I mean, it's sad to see somebody struggling that hard, but she's not wanting to help herself. She obviously didn't show love or empathy for her own children. So, you know.
If she is, hello, Rosie. If she is dope sick, like someone's speculating, again, this is just speculation, she can go get help and they can medicate her for these symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what channel. Ernie's?
Okay, so the clip I saw, do you want me to link it for people? It's Crime Watch is the channel, and it's I didn't hear it on Ernie's. It was a clip.
Oh, it's a clip channel. I like those.
Mhm.
Crime Watch. What? Summer Wells? Should I type in?
Yeah. Hang on, let me see. It's called "Did Candace Wells OD have a stroke or worse? What's wrong with her?" That's the title. This is the first time I've ever come across this channel, so I can't vouch for everything on it. I just now found it because of this clip, but it does look like she has lots of clips. So
I had that. Remember, there was a clip of Don saying that Candace had a stroke when Summer went missing.
What? Oh my God, I don't remember
Hold
that.
on. I'll play it after this ad. But okay, let me play this little clip channel.
And by the way, if I say I don't remember something, I believe you that it happened, you know, just because I don't remember it. I trust it if you say it.
Oh, I know. Wait, what the heck? StreamYard's being annoying. Hang on. Sorry. You guys don't even know.
Yeah, StreamYard
Well,
is.
you know.
Yeah, StreamYard is frustrating.
Holy.
It
Okay.
does take a lot for addicts to get help and stay clean. It's an awful, awful thing.
Yeah. But she could at least try, like, you know.
The following conversation occurred between Candace Bly Wells and Ernie Shell on the evening of April 18th, 2022.
Is she allowed to steal, Candace? You need to go to the hospital, Candace. You need to go to the hospital.
Sorry, I can't do it.
Candace, listen.
Just for fair use purposes, I'm just pausing it real quick. And this is weird. She
Yeah.
sounds like she's like choking on something.
Mm-hmm.
Listen. Go get help. Go get help. Go get help. What have you done? It ain't COVID. COVID don't do that. What have you done? What have you done to yourself? What have you done?
All I've done was go fishing. All I've done is stay on the ground. All I've done.
What have you taken? What have you taken?
Oh, is she hallucinating?
Did he say, "What have you taken"?
Yeah, and like,
Mm.
did you see the quote on the screen? The screen?
No.
Fishing and stay on the ground. That's what she's saying out loud. Hold on.
Wow.
What have you
Can
done?
you slow it
What have you
down
taken?
a little?
Nothing.
Wow. She's
Oh,
like,
yeah. My bad.
You need to go to the hospital.
Sorry, I can't do it.
Candace, listen. Go get help. Go get help. Go get help.
Okay, for one, I just have to say, why isn't Ernie getting her help?
I feel like this is the rare time where a welfare check would be appropriate. Like, I'm not about calling welfare checks and what is that called? Swatting people.
Right. Oh,
But
God,
right
no.
here,
Yeah, no.
Tracy,
No.
Tracy,
But-
was Candace at the river and said it was cold? Remember Candace
was at the
uploaded,
river?
remember she uploaded that video on her YouTube and it looked like she was by the water. Oh, that gives me like cold chills.
And, oh, God. That's the thing, guys, is when there certain drugs, you hallucinate.
Yeah.
Or, you end up somewhere because you're on something thinking you're somewhere else. Have you guys ever seen the movie Spun?
I feel like I have. I've seen movies that I don't remember, but yeah, I feel like I have seen that.
It pretty much is like,
Ambien will make you hallucinate.
oh yeah, that's the thing, is it doesn't have to be like street drugs.
Yeah.
Which, side note, I think some of the behavior with Amber Heard, she was on some like Accutane medication, and I got to look into it, but I heard that makes you like really like kooky, some people as a side effect. So yeah, there's like definitely side effects, but hold on, let me play this.
What have you done? It ain't COVID. COVID don't do that. What have you done? What have you done to yourself? What have you done?
All I've done was go fishing. All I've done is stay on the ground. All I've done.
What have you taken? What have you taken?
Nothing.
Okay.
No fucking thing. I fucking took a shit, man. It's fucking cold out here.
Okay. Ain't you? Why are you on the river somewhere? How did I know you was by the lake? How did I know you was by the lake?
Cares?
I can hear it in the background.
Who cares? Why? By the way.
Well, just listen.
Oh,
Did you go to court Friday?
Look, I have not went to court yet. Court has not come upon me.
Okay. I thought you were supposed to win. I didn't know. But anyway.
And remember, H said something about when Candace gets high and drunk, she thinks she loses the kids.
Yes. And even Chris said, so this has happened before, like Summer's gone missing. And he's like, well, not missing.
Yeah.
It's like, what? How long has she been out of sight before,
Oh my God. And remember the 911 dispatch? Mother went out for a run.
Yep.
And then Candace is like, I don't run. Yeah, but do you when you're messed up?
Or could the run have been like a drive out somewhere?
Right.
Not a physical walk or run. Because then there's something, they do say walk also. They use the word run and walk on that dispatch. That's why we need I mean, we don't need them. I know we can't, like Ellie has them, but I want to hear the 911 calls.
Yeah, I agree about the 911 call is definitely something that they're holding on to as like whatever circumstantial or whatever type of evidence. I mean, it's their own words that they would be using, you know? Oh, and that's the other thing that Grandis sort of carries the weight of. Grandis's phone was the only one that could call 911.
Yeah.
So right now, nobody's phone at the Hill right now for Candace, whatever state she's in, can call 911 unless now her phone can. But yeah, I'm at a loss for words too, Michelle. She said, I'm at a loss for words. I get nothing but bad feelings. She needs help.
Okay.
So I don't know. What maybe she does have the flu.
Oh, goddamn. I tell you what to do, just burp and get out there.
Oh, fucking happened. Oh, like, wide open. Get up and out. I go like that.
Well, go lay down and get you some rest. You'll...
Oh, fuck. I gotta go.
Well, unblock me from...
I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this a...
Wow. Yeah, just burp. What the heck?
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, I just really feel as we conclude this, yeah, it is terrible. I just really feel like this whole scene that we're looking at right now might have mimicked a scene that was, it may have, I'm not saying it did, may have mimicked a scene that was taking place on the day Summer went missing. Of, you know, Candace obviously being in her own world.
Yeah. And at 5 p.m., allegedly, she always starts drinking. But say that day, I just think it is very possible that one of the reasons they chose to cover it is because it didn't play out the way that they're saying. And if they had reported her missing possibly earlier in the afternoon or whatever, she would have, I don't know. I just think there was possible drug use or they were intoxicated that day, and that played a role in it.
Right. And like H said, that was the whole reason. And then he stopped talking. Like, I feel like that was the whole reason of the meetup that day was to get effed up.
Yeah. Do you see Amanda L's comment? That's interesting. That gives me hope if Jody Sue is being honest and that they came to the cabin this morning. That means they're still like following up on things, I feel.
On Jody Sue Live today, she broke down crying because the TBI or FBI came back out to her cabin this morning asking her young daughter questions. It was sad. Is she on Facebook Live?
I think she does YouTube Lives also. I don't know if she broadcasts them to YouTube and Facebook or what. Yeah, I agree, Lisa Lee.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube, okay.
Oh,
I
interesting.
think her channel is just Jody Sue Brown. That is when I have not really watched too closely. I do watch some clip channels of her. And I don't fully trust her either.
Oh, okay. Well, the link I just put in chat is the channel that I played that disturbing Ernie conversation from. And Irish Detox, can you send me Jody Sue's YouTube in private messenger? Like, no rush. I'm not going to play it now, but and then I'll pass it along to CDT too. I mean, you can find it yourself too if you don't want to wait. But I'm just interested to kind of peek at that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I really appreciate you being here, and thank you again, CDT, and everyone in chat and my mods. And yeah, if anyone knows anything, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. So
okay, let's talk for 20 more minutes. Just kidding.
I didn't know if you wanted to say goodbye.
No, yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks to the chat and all the mods. We really appreciate talking through all of this with you. And Amber, I love all your clips. And so bye everybody. I'm gonna go.
Okay, yeah, thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.